There you are. It's 99.9 on WILD, where not only do we drive you, by God, we drive you absolutely wild with thoughts and topics and all that kind of trippy madness. Everybody calls me Billy. My name is W.C. Ingerson, E-N-G-E-R-S-O-N. And I'm out here on the old Trail of Tears Central, old St. Brainerd Road, as I like to call it. And it is what it is, and it is 8:05 p.m. By God, it is a Friday. Friday, October the 19th on your 2018 dial. Naturally. I thought it was a Thursday. My God, I thought it was a Thursday. I sure did. Yeah, no doubt, man. I thought it was a Thursday. I'm out here in Chattanooga, Tennessee on old Trail of Tears Central, you want to call it that. St. Brainerd Road, or Brainerd Road, as I like to call it. And, the many problems with Facebook is just some of the problems that our country's facing right now. I don't know if people really thought about it much, but we are. We've got corporations in the United States of America that are very progressive socialist, and they're in power. Pretty big power they got going on. The one that really comes to mind is Facebook. And, I'm surprised they're still in existence, regardless of how many subscribers they have. They're not exactly an American-friendly company. No, they're not. They're more of a United Nations, Utopia, Europe, progressive socialist friendly. And I've noticed this. And talk about alarms need to be sounded, and they've been sounded, but for some reason I don't know if it's the Federal Reserve or it's the federal government hasn't pulled the plug on Facebook. If Facebook was represented by a Nazi country or a communist country, would they pull the plug on it? It's an interesting thought. I'm gonna guess it would bother them if they raised the communist Chinese flag over the Facebook headquarters in America and just went ahead and burned the American flag. Well, shouldn't bother them. Pretty much. Oh, another blue meanie. But yeah, it's food for thought. You can only have a free personal media, or they called it social media. I'd rather not use the word social at all, because pretty much it's describing Facebook as being socialist, calling it social media. The word social is a form of government, socialism. It really is. From the same origins. To socialize, to be socialist, not into that word social, because it's got hijacked, kind of like the swastika. It got hijacked by the Nazis. Before then, it did have a meaning. It had a meaning, but not the Nazistic meaning. That's food for thought. So Facebook is really, I try to even get back on it, and I put out the truth about the GOP and the DNC are both in the same, they're both in the same boat. And although the GOP is a little bit cleaner in areas of reputation than the DNC, somewhat. When I say somewhat, I mean somewhat. Even Ron Paul would tell you about this. They're somewhat cleaner and constitutional, more so, than the DNC in certain areas. But the American people have been deceived, God, off and on, of course, since the beginning of the government, but noticeably since 1913, been deceived by our government and foreign governments that are tied into our government. And it was one of those things that Andrew Jackson warned us about. It was called the Federal Reserve, which were nothing more than foreign banks, basically, when it came into power. You know, like I say, there was only a couple of things that Thomas Jefferson was worth a damn on. A few things. Everything else, he was Satan's lapdog for the rest of it. He was Satan's lapdog, or lap pig. I think he was born in the year of the boar. Thomas Jefferson was. But it's kind of tragic that Facebook, for all what it was supposed to do, turned around and did totally opposite. Because really, if you think about it, they made it that way. The Facebook Corporation made it that way. They turned Facebook into a sort of, because the internet's not regulated by the federal government. So the federal government, that means that the federal government and its corporations can do whatever they want to. They can go out here and hire a hot room and create hot rooms or whatever. So whatever telemarketing scam, and we'll use sex or whatever, the internet's not regulated, you can do that. So we'll use dates or sexuality to sell iPhone cards and Amazon cards. Of course, the Apple Corporation and Amazon make a good good bit out of that. And since most of their labor is communist labor out of China, thanks to the GOP and Richard Nixon and all these devoted Christians that are supporting communism in China. I'm telling you how to love Jesus with a communist heart. Oh, the truth sucks, doesn't it? Don't let it offend your ego. Let the truth set you free. Don't let it offend your ego. Huh? It's like, don't let CTE offend your knowledge about sending your kids out there to get their brains bashed in on the football field. Everybody knows the Kirkpatrick, whatever it was, the Kaepernick, not Kirkpatrick, the Kaepernick thing was nothing but a bait and switch to get your attention away from the talking about CTE and football. Because today in America, I don't know how many kids have suffered brain injury from the football field while trying to make their family's name proud. So we talk about having hypocrisy and democracy. There's a lot of it. And having a rotten republic, I mean, you got people like John McCain. How was he legally a senator? He was a crook. How are all these people in power? How are they even legally there? They're crooks. They got their power on the backs of communist labored slaves in China. That's what made America rich since 1975. Before then, it was Nazism. Out of Germany, supporting the NASA program. Huh? Jews in Middle Europe create Nazism in New York City and in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, along with the film projector patents. It created Nazism and socialism. Remember, socialism was thriving back then in the early, in America. Americans were going through some kind of weird transformation. So your socialist Jews came into power. And when that happened, and I'm a Hebrew, I don't claim to be Jewish. When that happened, all kinds of hell started trickling down. And when the world is your oyster, I guess you can pick and choose what country you start Nazism out of. You can try to sell it to the American people like it's cotton candy, just like they try to sell American people Ku Klux Klanism or Black Pantherism. Now the federal government's trying to sell you terrorism in the form of, what is it called, a NIFTA? It sounds almost like NAFTA, but it's called a NIFTA or something like that. Yeah. Know that it's a federal government group, a NIFTA. It's created by them. They control all the puppet string governments. The federal government controls the KKK. They control the neo-Nazis. The federal government controls all these socialist groups that cause chaos and havoc. They control the women's movement groups, feminism and all that. They control all that. That's your Federal Reserve Rothschilds controlling your country, Americans. Wake up and smell the progressive socialist vomit. Now, I don't know if they're going to give that up. I don't know if they'll give it up. They might just die with it altogether and we'll all be victims of their genocide. I'm not really sure how it's going to end or begin. But I know when you got Donald J. Trump telling you that the economy's great and we've been trading with communist China since 1975, know that he is a liar. And he is paid to lie to the American people for the Federal Reserve and for the federal government. He's not paid to lie for the state of New York or the city of New York, although I'm sure he's had his shares of liberties. But he is a liar when he says the economy is great. The economy's not great. It couldn't be in worse shape. You're walking around with pieces of plastic and you're not carrying American cash. That means your economy is really, really sucky so bad. But y'all been too mesmerized chasing the machine to be aware of how poor you Americans really are. You're given the illusions of credit and all this other grandioso Ponzi schemes that the federal and state governments have been running for years. Keep y'all sidetracked with soap operas, baby pops, and whatnot. Football games where kids are getting their brains bashed in. And the adults are getting their brains bashed in. But they're paying you a lot of that fiat Ponzi money that's been printed out of thin air. We'll give you rock and roll and everything now. It's rap music to distract you all from what's really going on in your government. And that affects your life, whether you like politics or religion. It affects your life, Americans. Know it and understand it. Live with it and do something about it. Speak up about it in your public streets and in your public forum. Regardless of the consequences, speak the truth about things and you'll be set free. Or you can live your life as a victim of liberty. Y'all take care now. We'll talk at you later. Bye-bye.